season. He's not re-signing. I mean, Don Carla. I mean, can you really say no to a manager of that pedigree?
Because I can't blame the Kroenkes for being 2 points off last season. I can get how they ran the club, but I do think to the controllables that Arteta can control, he hasn't maximized it. Fair enough, you can cry about I didn't get a suitable budget in the summer, bro. But at the same time, why are you buying Moreno? Why are you buying Calafiori being devil's advocate? Why did you buy Kai Havertz? You haven't been faultless. You're not without blame, Arteta.
This is it. Like, I think
there's always an excuse.
Me and Turkish were going back and forth, but only because I don't listen. At the time of the protest, it made sense. Now I'm like, can you really blame them? Because yeah, you could ask for crazy more money, but I'm sorry, if I was, this is a fair argument. If I was and Mikel come to me after saying, yeah, we need a striker. I bought Havertz 65 million. I put him on 275 a week. Jesus, by the way, is on 250, the second highest a week, by the way. And they're two strikers now that you've backed, by the way, Arteta. That was Kroenke didn't want Kai Havertz, you know. Kroenke didn't want Jesus, you know. So you made that happen. And then now you're asking for more money for another striker. Granted, listen, I know we need a striker, and rightly so. I think owners should free up that money. But if I'm the board, there's an argument to say, brother, you've just put these men on this crazy money. You've asked for I've given you the money for that. Like, you want to know? You want more strikers? Yeah. So like, you got to make that work. So I don't know. I find it interesting. But the Kroenkes, listen, I believe that, like I said, when I speak with them, they're backing him. So I expect a signing to come through the window, and it should be a striker. I think you'll be naive to not. I mean, I've said this before in the January window, that you'll be naive not to sign a striker, and he didn't that window. But this is different now because we have injuries to like Bukayo Saka, even Yeris, and on top of that, we're not good in front of goal anyway. Havertz is not the guy. So yeah, that's the only thing. I think sometimes I question the direct, hey, even with Turkish, and we go back and forth and we have good conversations, and he'll always say, but owners, they need to be winners and all this stuff. But I'm like, brother, they're backing him. Like, not every owner.
I agree with that from Turkish, but like, regardless of that, Arteta's had chances to win trophies, and I can't always blame the Kroenkes. Indirectly, everything comes from the owners, but Arteta's fumbled his own shit sometimes. Right. We can't sit here and lie.
Yeah, exactly that.
2 points off City. We're no closer to winning a league title. Liverpool, better. Yeah, they've had building stages, but onslaughts come out of nowhere. Now, I don't really care if Liverpool or City win the league. For me, it's a simple case of, you're telling me you want to win trophies. I see some positives. You're not getting over the line, and next team is celebrating. How long before we try something else? How long do you keep doing the same things before you try a solution?
Yeah, no, exactly that. You can't keep doing that. And I always go for what Arteta says. Listen, a lot of fans will say he lies a lot, and he's lied to me in press conferences.
Managers are liars, to be
so fair. That's fair. But like, I just think when he said, like, I think a report asked him, do you need a striker, or are you going to get a striker? And he said no. Oh, do you need one? He said no. We don't need a striker. Like you don't take us for idiots there. Like,
I don't think this striker solves everything, but clearly we do, man. Stop.
Yeah, because for me, we need a striker and a winger. I just think it's going to be, he has to, in this window, he has to sign a striker. If you want to have any hope in like, I have small hope in little things. Again, the Carabao Cup, I have to go to Newcastle. I'm dreading that trip to try and overturn a 2-0 deficit. But if you get a striker, I have a bit more belief, if I'm being honest. I have a small
player, full stop, man. Look at our front three. You don't rate Sterling. Trossard's somewhat turning his form around, but he's not levels. Havertz, we're at where we're at with Kai. We all know the injuries. For me, it's not sustainable, and it goes back to the summer. You can't want to compete on 4 fronts with a squad of 13, 14. It's not making sense.
But it's the one thing, right, that irks me. This is what just eats away at me as an Arsenal fan, yeah? Aubameyang, yeah? Cool. Arteta fell out of him in the end. But look at it, yeah? Single-handedly, and I think I'm right in saying this, got us the FA Cup in the final periods. He single-handedly put
attacking players make the difference. Facts.
So
where would we be without Saka?
How the hell does my man, and I'm a fan of Mikel, not listen? Aubameyang, he didn't. I'm not gonna say he saved your career, but I'm telling you, he prolonged your time at Arsenal when things were going dark. That FA Cup held you in as a manager at Arsenal Football Club. So, and that's thanks to Aubameyang. So I don't see how he doesn't think one striker, and by the way, we got him in a January window as well. Let's not forget that one striker can be the difference. Listen, Champions League
goals win games, bro.
Exactly, is a big ask, but you get someone in a striker that of
Remember
good
that year
ilk.
Van Persie was basically the difference between us getting top four and not. Like, obviously, it's disingenuous to say it's just him, but goals win games. It turns defeats into draws, draws into 3 points. And we don't have
Brother,
scenarios like last year where we missed out by 2 points. We're doing the same things and expecting different shit.
this is what I'm
Crazy.
saying. I've been in football a freaking long time, my whole life. Yeah, I've been in part of football, and I understand the cliches of listen, defenses win you leagues, and that there's a lot of truth in that. But when it comes to cups and something that now we're really looking at for saving my man's season, go and get a striker that is of good quality and push the ball. Because I actually think
Facts.
if you do it right, you will get the striker you want, but you have to just negotiate well and push the ball, because there's prime examples. Again, RVP got us into that top four by scoring those important goals. Aubameyang got us that FA Cup. Mikel, you should know this, my brother. You have, and the thing is, I like you mentioned before, I don't love the style of play right now, the way we're playing. I don't love it to how I've loved it in past seasons before, but you get the ball in the areas where you create enough opportunities for goals to go in. Some will say we are lacking creativity wise. We're not creating as much chances, but you're giving.
I don't want to create from central areas, man. But we've had chances. Man,
we had enough chances. We have enough possession to control games, to create enough chances for a good striker to convert into goals. So for me, I keep talking about strikers. I just think it's the most glaring, obvious thing to address right now as a fan, and I'm on a big platform, and I think we have to always talk about that right now, because I think it can be the difference to kind of partly saving our season, or if not, building for next season. As much as I don't want to think about next season right now, and the Martin Zubimendi news and all that malarkey is all for next season, at least get a striker that you can kind of build on top of, either save your season or also build on top of for next season.
So how much do you think we have to pay for the summer? Because I gave the summer a 5, 6 out of 10. For me, in terms of recruits, it's a 4. In terms of, getting Eddie Nketiah or Smith Rowe off the books, even though I don't agree with it, you got some decent money. Now, I give it a 4 I give it a 4 because I don't think Moreno's a bad player. I do think I would have seen I should see a bit more than what I'm seeing. I think if we brought in the Zubimendi, or I don't know, the Douglas Luiz or Gamares, and Moreno comes in as well, people look at him differently. I don't think and I think Calafiori will work out well, but I don't think any of the players we brought in immediately challenge anyone in our strongest 11. Maybe in time they will, but they don't. So then how do we get into the fine margins? You mentioned a striker, which I'm with you, and an attacker, a wide man, which I'm with you. Even if this is what people forget, people like to do this. Obviously, context is important. Context matters, but context happens to all teams. People talk about injuries. Even when everybody is fit, we have spoken about injuries. Even when everybody's firing and goals are, on the face of it being shared around, we've talking about needing a proven goal scorer. We've spoken about the bodies. Me personally, on the field, I've talked about the lack of creativity. You got the negative cocktail of the lack of creativity, and you don't have clinical players. Goals win games. I think the whole team's dropped off a cliff defensively. Like, it's Lewis Skelly's doing his thing. Gabriel Saliba, Raya, they're always going to be good, but we're conceding far too many sloppy goals. So how much of the summer, because we didn't do what we needed to do in the summer, how much of that has engineered our downfall, and specifically Mikel Arteta and where we are in the league? Because I feel we failed to plan. We planned to fail. And me and you are talking about January. I don't think there's any excuses, but it's a difficult market. That's definitely not an excuse, but you're trying to do the impossible and probable now. Well, you should have done it in the summer.
There's so many ways to answer this question. I want to go with
it all, man.
Yeah, there's a lot in that question. So, firstly, January is a difficult window. It's not an excuse, but you're spot on there. But I'm getting annoyed when I'm seeing. I just saw come through Wissa. Who just tried to get Wissa? They just put in a bid for Wissa. It was Forest, not a Forest. Okay, it's just been turned down. But
Chelsea been linked with Vlahovic and Sesko as well.
And then West Ham put in a freaking, what was it, 58 million?
Madness. Man, I tried. That's really trying.
See, so this is right. That's where my frustrations lie. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand some of these players, they're not leaving, but I haven't seen bid from Arsenal. I've seen links, and links can be anything.
Some Victoria's Secret stuff that we're doing on the back burners.
Word, brother. I just think, come on. I can see evidently that teams are trying to improve. They're putting in bids. And by the way, I'll take Duran, by the way. I don't think he's worth 58 million. But I would take him. I'll take anyone at this point. But I'm just saying, at least clubs are showing intent to try and make these signings. I don't see that from us. I'm seeing links, talks, but that can be PR. That can be agents just saying, put this out there. That can just be fans even making links. We do it all the time when we want a player. We say, we're linked to it. We're linked to this person, even though there's literally no one's contacted no one. So those are the first things I want to kind of eradicate. I think I need Arsenal to start really trying. At least you're already too late. You're already too late by not addressing this earlier on. That's another thing. many windows I've said we need a clinical striker. And I don't
Saying
like
it for years. Haven't
exactly,
replaced the Bamian. Haven't replaced Granit Xhaka.
exactly.
Or
And I
the
don't like,
replacements haven't done the replacing.
and I don't like to do the whole you can't change your opinion flip-flop thing. But I've been consistent with we need a goal scorer. One, because I take pride in our attack. I'm an attack. I started playing football because of Thierry Henry. I am a striker. Like I need.
I was watching highlights and I saw Adebayo, Van Persie, and Henry and Cesc Fabregas behind them. It made me think, wow, like we ain't had that for a while.
That's what I'm saying, and things like that. Like I relish that. So I've been screaming for a strike, and we've been consistent with it because if you go to the AFTV USA tours, we've been doing videos every tour about we need a strike, we need a strike. I got laughed at for Marcus Rashford back in the day when that was 2 summers ago. That season had the maddest season of his career. I said we could have got him in that season anyway, but it goes all the way back from when I first kind of nearly started AFTV talking about we need a striker.
You're talking about striker when Lacazette was up front. Then Lacazette could do a thing in this squad. I'll be real.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Even that, yeah, bloody hell, Mr. Hold up, push out your bum and pin a man, brother. We need we need goal scorers. Pause. But Jesus,
we've been speaking about it for time.
But man, even those days, so like it's always been an issue. It's something that is frustrating, and I hold against Mikel Arteta, and something that I'll always say that's where he's kind of messed up. I even said when he signed Havertz, this could be the sword he dies on, because if he doesn't get it right.
Gonna have to. You mentioned he's on 200 grand a week, whatever, probably 4 or 5 year deal. Obviously, I mentioned earlier the strongest 11. Yeah, now big up Kai, because I don't think Kai's a horrible player. I wouldn't have bought you. Don't think you're a difference maker. But if I'm keeping it 100, second half of last season, you was a lot more consistent than Bear, man. You're actually one of the first names on the team sheet, which tells the problem. But going back to what I said about the strongest 11 and fine margins and all of that, yeah, if you imagine whatever have you, Arsenal's Arsenal's starting 11, and you look at the front three, give or take, probably going to have Kai Havertz up front, Saka on the right. Whether you want Trossard or Martinelli, that's your business. 2 of those 3, all 3 could be upgraded on. If you can find someone better than Saka, I'm all for that. Pick him up, though. 2 of that 3 needs to be upgraded. When you're going into a season, if we want to be a team that can get top 4 in that, we've got enough. If you want to be a team that wins leagues and gets to latter stages of competitions, you need to know my man can get us out of trouble when things are going wrong. You know how many games Isaac's probably just got Newcastle out of problems? They've been shit. He's just scored a couple goals. You need a winger. We haven't got that, bro. So it's like, you're right on the money, man, but I cut you like you're right, man. I'm just frustrated about the striker thing.
No, it's frustrating. And again, the original question obviously is about the summer window, and I'll go back to it. Now, I can put my hand up here. We actually did a video about it, because I remember, because I tried to stay consistent with my rating. I think I already rated it 6 or 7. I think if I'm going to be completely honest, it might have been 7. Now it's not a 7. Of course it's not. When you look at everything, you have to revise that.
Not allowed to change your opinion, Cecil, man.
You know, and I'm not allowed. Yeah, they might kill me for this, but I'm only going to go down by 1, and I'm going to say 6. And it's frustrating because it should be lower than that, and I understand that. But because of
recruitment front, it's a 3 if that, man. I can't.
Yeah, because of the outgoings, which we mentioned, I look at a window in full totality, and I think, yeah, the outgoings kind of boosted up a little bit. It is probably below. Yeah, it's probably like 5 or 4, but. I'm gonna hold up.
Big up in the circle in my chat, because he was consistent on that. I have to give him his flowers, but go on.
Yeah, and even big up. Listen, some people at AFTV Turkish were saying, like, it's a 4, and we were like, what, you going mad? But I like I said, I think the outgoings really boosted up, because as players in the club, I didn't really want there anymore. We need to move forward. We brought Sterling in, and at the time, I thought I bought into the PR. Man came in and said, you ain't seen the best.
There's no way other than to buy into the PR, because Sterling, I back him because he's a yard man, but there's no way you look at that summer and think, Sterling is pushing Saka, Havertz, Martinelli, whatever. Maybe the Sterling of YouTube, what he looks like, but this current version, myth. Relationship of convenience.
But also as well, like, again, it's lower than a 5. But at the time, like that PR video, cool. Calafiori, who I actually think was a good player. I just thought,
I like him, but right now you're not doing nothing in it. And thank the Lord for Lewis Skelly.
And Mikel Marino was a Euro Cup winner. So like for me, I was like, okay, we are. It looks like, and we're only 2 points off last season of winning the title. I thought this, for me at the time, you think that can be enough. We needed a striker. Granted, I mentioned that on all the transfer videos. That is inexcusable. We need to address that. But I thought there'd still be enough to get us over the line. However, now looking at it, it's been poor. And big up Ethan Wanyeri, because he's come in and been a revelation. Obviously, he's injured now.
Big up me about the Lenders, man.
Exactly.
Big up MLS and Ethan, man.
Big up Miles Lewis Skelly. He's kept my man He's kept everyone in that position. There's a lot of left backs. He's kept them.
One of the few players that gets it right now, if I'm real. Like one of the few players that is showing us a level of consistency and mentality of what we want to see by the club. And that young man has been in the team 7-8 minutes, and it's testament to him. But I think it's a damning verdict on his teammates. Now, I'm not naive. Clearly, I don't think the players or Mikel Arteta don't care. But for whatever reason, you're coming up short. You're always the bridesmaid and never the wife. So I have to ask this question. As Cecil said at the start, we have been here before. Now, I always say, I don't tell you what to think, just think. Who am I to tell anyone what to think? If people believe Mikel Arteta is the guy, they want to follow him religiously, that's their business. If they believe he's not the guy and they want to hate on him religiously, that's their business. I do hear both sides because I think there's a lot of intangibles. I think a lot of people have their egos and don't want to. I think a lot of people that bury their head in the sand and, you know, gas up Arteta to high heavens and then don't hold him to those high standards. You can lie to some people some of the time, but when it's evidently in front of you what's going on, you can't. Like, there's always an excuse like, oh, what is Arteta meant to do about these injuries and these things? Bro, we've seen these injuries. Like last season, yes, we had a clean run. We should have been thinking, let's hope that that happens next season, but let's make sure we're prepared.
It rarely happens.
Exactly, and it really happens. And then even that, we still miss Partey, still miss Timber, still miss Tomiyasu. And I don't think we had enough bodies. We question our squad when everyone is fit, when Saka, all the injuries are not a thing. So I don't think we're learning, man. And for me, I need Arteta to learn quicker. And I think he knows that as long as I get top 4 or I don't collapse and I keep showing some improvements, the Kroenkes are not going to get at me. Kroenkes are just happy to have Champions League. And I've left this question up here for a while, yeah. Obviously, we've spoken about the summer. Do you think Arteta is the guy before the guy now? Like, do you think there's a platform for, in theory, somebody coming in and maybe if they're in a situation not finishing 2 points off City?
Yeah, I do. I want to talk about at some point just
go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Talk what you want to talk, bro.
The style of play that Arteta's gone with. I just think I don't know if he's done it to reserve, I don't know, players' energy levels to.
Oh, we heard that in August. I told people that's BS, man. No one goes into a game thinking I need to rest myself to the second half of the season.
But it's because the way we play is so just like side to side, like and listen, at times it's not free flowing side to side. Let's not get us confused when we're playing teams now. Because listen, when I was doing the whole, I don't back this team to win these games against either a low block because we found that we struggle against a low block because we can't get a clinical finisher to, you know, break it down at times. I say, okay, cool. When a team does that, we struggle. But then when a team goes hell for leather, when it's like a basketball match, back and forth, I don't think we cope with that well either. I think Arteta's word...
They're chess matches, man.
Yeah, I think he shivers at the word an open game. He hates that. He's
scared of the counter-attacking transition. That's why he sets up like this. He's shook of it.
But from my opinion, I'm like, Arteta, like, you can't break down a low block, but then when the game gets open and you go, say Newcastle or Liverpool, if it goes back and forth, we lose that battle as well because I don't think we go bar for bar with teams that do that. So I'm like, well, what is your best asset? And it ends up being this whole controlling thing, but that's also currently taking a dip now.
And everything has to go right for that to work. And that's where fans get into this, field tilt, XG, we had all these shots, we didn't win, luck weren't on our side. And I hear all of that. That's not without logic, but I'll be real. I don't think you lot have played football.
And being a player as well, like that style of football, it may get you a goal or it may get you in the lead, right? But what it does is you try and contain, which we see Arsenal, the same shit every week. We might go up and then try and contain a lead and we try and control a game. But that invites more pressure on the defense, which have been superb. But because we're not killing off teams, say like a Liverpool, or when they'll keep going for it, they'll keep trying to score. And
we dropped 12 points from winning position. Now, yeah, there's been red cards and that, but generally for a team that wants to win a league, that's not good.
And I think that's down partly to the style of play because he wants to control games. And that for me, when I'm a player on a pitch, and I've been in a team where we have that. I can't even. It's a tactic where you go on and score. It's called Peter or whatever. Like you sit in to basically maintain a lead and just keep the ball and dominate possession.
We don't even do that well. It
doesn't always work. Majority of the time, it doesn't work because the pressure just starts to build and build and build and build, and then you can see the momentum shifts, and that's massive in football, especially in the top leagues. When momentum shifts, it's difficult to try and hold out a game. So
especially away from home.
I think we struggle from that. But let me just go back to the original question that was on the screen earlier, which said about, you know, is he the guy before the guy? I mean, again, I'm a fan of Arteta.
Some would say, Brendan Rodgers potentially.
But even like,
And I don't think that's a disrespect because I think Arteta, you go win trophies elsewhere and do well, all right. But I only really care about my club.
But
If you've got us to this point, next man comes in, cool, Arteta, you weren't the guy, big you up for that, you know,
yeah.
move forward.
But even a Brendan Rodgers, who I think he gets a lot of respect in his career, but I just think like even a Arnie Slot and Jurgen Klopp, like look what Slot's doing. Like we've got good players. Yes, I get it. Liverpool have world class Virgil van Dijk, Salah's, but let's not get it twisted. Bukayo Saka's, Saliba, Gabriel's, the Declan Rice's. If a manager comes in and can just do small little tweaks. You know, I think he could potentially be, you know, the next step. And I don't want to take
like
away
for me, I'm not Arteta till I die. Like I think there's some good things. I think there's reasons for you to be sacked. I can understand both sides of the debate. For me, I won't cry if you left tomorrow and you tried to get Ancelotti. Personally, I think this conversation is a bit redundant anyways, because I don't think Arsenal are a team that says, you know what, after giving you a new deal last year, we're going to sack you and rip up that contract, give you compensation, bring in Ancelotti or whatever. And as we both know, Cecil, there is that reality where a new man might come in. And as much as I agree with you, like Saliba, Rice, Saka, this one and that one, the new manager needs to put his own spin on things and needs that authority. Because what if he comes in and says, I don't care about Havertz, whatever he's on, I don't care. I don't care about Declan Rice. I don't care about this. I need X, Y, Z. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think, listen, again, I'm a fan of Arteta. I think he'll get a big job after this. It's his first job and he's done so much. I've got to give him the credit and respect. But again, there might be that small tweak, like you said there. There might be a manager who's had, you know, he's got heritage of winning big trophies that says, bro, you need a clinical finisher. Like goes to the board and says, to get this team winning, that's all I need. And let me just put my my ethos and mentality into these players, and we're there. So it could be that. It really could be that. I think Arteta's done so much. Again, like I said, all the things around the training ground, the philosophy, the fans,
pick him up for that.
All of that.
For me, it's just over the line now.
All of that stays when he goes. You know, like I think if he goes, and listen, I'm not saying sack him now. I want to make that very clear because I'm not on that. I'm waiting. I want to see until the end of the season, and then I can say, okay, cool. Listen, I'm going to hold you to what you said. You know, this isn't. We haven't been successful. 5-year plan, all that. But a manager can come in and do them little tweaks because, like I said, everything that he's brought in doesn't change. Like the fans don't. When Arteta goes, don't lose love for the players again. Don't drop the connection. The song doesn't go. The training ground, you know, like things that inspire you to go win trophies doesn't go. It all stays. So all it is you bring someone who has a new identity, new ideas, or maybe just small tweaks. And maybe when the next manager comes in, that's
competencies in the areas Arteta's potentially lacking in. That's not getting us over the line and capitalizing on these fine margins that everybody talks about.
And a good manager sees that. I'm sorry, I'm not being funny, but Slot when Slot went to Liverpool, he'll be an idiot to come in and think, fuck it, let me just rip up everything and change everything to how I want. Because
and them man there found solutions as well. They didn't get Zubimendi. Gravenberch is thriving in the six.
But that's the small changes you need. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I'll come here. This academy player can fit perfectly here. I can get him to that level, get him in, and we go on and win it. Because Slot would have been an idiot, like I said, to overhaul Liverpool and can make complete
too early in his tenure to be doing any of that. And you didn't have a transfer window like that. You got a half-fit Chiesa, if anything.
Exactly. And the team. I think the team loves Slot, and so did the fans. So like, and he had a good team there to work off. He had a good platform to work off. So, like I said, they've been a fool to make big changes. And I think if we got a new manager, they'd be a fool to completely rip up and change everything. I think they just need to make small little tweaks and potentially that
make the massive difference
over the line. Because if I'm being real, Arteta's cup record is poor. I know he won the FA Cup, man. But ever since then,
especially in these last 3 years, because I always say 3 years because I know he's been there longer, because this is when I've looked at it like, we're actually serious. Since we won the FA Cup, he shanked it. Let's be real, Cecil, he shanked it. The Champions League last year, I'm not really vexed at you. I think there's learning curves for both teams to learn from. But we've been poor, bro.
Yeah, first year, but last
how we performed in the League Cup final the other. Oh, it's unacceptable for everybody at this club. Unacceptable to perform like that against Newcastle, man.
Yeah, that one, I can't justify. Even some of the Europa League games back in the day as well. I can't.
It's like we half step. We half want to be winners, but then we don't really want to do that. Like it's jarring, man.
There may not be as much emphasis. I think that there should be, but because the club is so focused on the league because we've got so close so many seasons that I think a lot of the players buy into that mentality, like league. Not to say they F off the cups, but they just, I think the FA Cup, the League Cup, it's not like the Champions League for them or the Premier League. And you know what? That's probably subconscious, if I'm being real, because I think us fans do it as well. So that was.
Do they think you have a divide? Sorry to cut you, but that's a good talking point. Do our players and our football club and our manager, do we have a right to do that?
No, you mad? No. Do you know how much, brother? Do you know how much I wanted to win the League Cup, bro?
You're in the semis.
Brother, like I will be, and it's gonna happen if we don't beat Newcastle by 3 goals. I'll be so angry, and it's me. It's funny. Me and James we laugh at it because obviously we always are around fans, and they just like, oh, they always say, oh, but the Carabao Cup, like it's nothing. Even Robbie at times, like he disregards it, and I'm like, bro, I actually have to tell him off, like, Rob, we haven't won. I haven't won this in my lifetime. You're the same age as me, so we haven't seen us win it. And yes, it can be seen as like a smaller trophy. I get it. It's not one of the majors, but we can't turn our nose up at silverware regardless. I'm so sorry, fans. I don't care what you've
especially when you don't get the other ones over the line and you're left empty-handed in May and that. Like we all saw the bigger fish to fry and all the stuff that they get out of us Arsenal fans about last year and the year before.
Like Ten Hag and that man coming in doing 2 trophies and that like and yeah, granted, I wouldn't want to be in Man United shoes, but I'm sorry, like they've won trophies in that 2 years, and
they've made history in that regards. Like Ten Hag at the end of the day won 2 trophies. Like, yeah, people that were around it where Man United, they're going to remember the nuances that they won those trophies. There's a bag of problems at United. But 20 years from now, Ten Hag can look back and say, you know what, I went to the biggest club in England. Whatever they say about me, it says 2023 or whatever, FA Cup, League Cup. As great as it is with Arteta, we haven't done that. And he said it himself. Like a lot of us fans want to cry behind, hide behind someone and hide behind about, 2024 was the best team. That tells me that there's a lot of positives, but you need to get over the line. And the man himself said that. Like, nobody cares. I don't think the players are I don't think they're going to be sat there in May and say, oh, we were the best team for half a year. It doesn't mean anything. If you don't win the league, it doesn't really matter where you finish. Yeah, Champions League places, all of that kind of nuances. And yes, I would rather, if I don't win the league, rather finish 2nd than 19th. But it don't really mean anything. It's just another case of being the bridesmaids. And for me, I always wonder, for Mikel Arteta, more so the players, because you've got players that have won stuff away from Arsenal, right? But where I look at Saliba, Saka, them kind of ones there, for club or country, they've been so close to winning something major, but so far, how long before they think, oh, you know what, man can do something elsewhere? Because I still think they're buying into it, but at some point, they're going to have to look around, bro.
It could be sooner than
all 3 of them got 2 years left. I think Gabriel Magalhaes, who I think people sleep on when we talk about going to bigger clubs, Saliba and Saka. There's a lot to do from now till the start of next season.
Yeah, Arsenal fans like, aren't going to want to hear it, but that is... Yeah, man, that is something that it's a serious thing. You have to get things over the line. Like, what did I see the other day? I think I saw like Son has been at Spurs for like crazy amount of years. I saw when he first signed to now and won nothing, and like won Tottenham and that. But even the whole Harry Kane thing, like I know our players wouldn't want to be regarded as that. Like I remember
Saliba even says I want to win trophies, so they definitely don't.
And big clubs are like when Real Madrid, they've knocked on his door lightly, but don't get
clearly flirting. Come, they're in a group chat and Mbappe, Tchouaméni, Camavinga. They're gassing him from that. We know what time it is. Same way Rice was getting gassed by the England lads here. You know what time it is.
Them knocks get loud, bro, and you can't even discredit players for doing it. Like, so that's why it's so important that we do win stuff. Because like I just think I remember Eddie saying, like Eddie Nketiah, when he was just like, oh, I was the England captain under 21s, and like all these players were making debuts and playing for their clubs, and I was still like on the bench. And it was annoying me. Like that's a small insight to football's mentality when clubs go away for England camp, for the first team, Saka and that. You're seeing Phil Foden or Jack Grealish, who's stinking at the moment, but he's coming back, brother. I just want a treble, like.
We've won more trophies than he can count, man.
Bro, like that. When you finish as a player, when you finish your career, like you look back on what you won. Like you can talk about individual honors, but I know for a fact listen, I've been lucky enough to speak to a lot of the Invincibles, and they always say like we look back on what we've done, like what we've won, and that is
your interview with Sol Campbell. Because at the end of the day, had he stayed at Spurs, you wouldn't be called a Judas and all of that jazz, and you probably could walk the streets of Tottenham safe, but you wouldn't have no trophies. What would you have?
Exactly. That's what he said. Look at the team. Look what they won.
Because what would you have at 35 years of age or even 70 when you're telling your grandkids, I used to whatever? Now Sol Campbell can say, I left, as mad as it is, I left that club. I won a trophy at my former club. I became invincible. And I think he spoke on another podcast about, I think he was the first like black centre-half to score for England and do this and do that. That's all that matters at the end of the day. They're the things of dreams. So I think you're bang on the money.
So yeah, that's what I just think it's imperative that Arsenal start to win trophies. I mean, we all know this. It's just